Asakti, one value is Asakti. Second is Anavishwangaha Putradara Gurhadishu. And third is Nityanja Samachittatvam Ishtan Nishto Patishu. So first is Asakti. Sakti means attachment. Asakti is freedom from attachment. So already we were told about Indriyaseshu Vairagyam. We discussed Vairagyam, freedom from Ragadvesa, freedom from passion. Dispassion you can say. Indriyaseshu, towards the objects of the sense organs. So already we are told dispassion towards the objects of sense organs, or sense pleasures. Then again we are told asakti, detachment. So now we come to a different class of objects, which are objects no doubt, but somewhat different from the objects of senses, meaning that we can create a distance with the objects of senses. We can avoid them, create a distance. However, there are certain things with which we cannot create distance, and they are the things that we use in our day-to-day life. For example, my home, house, furniture, and many other possessions. They also have an important role in our life. We cannot create a distance with them, just as you can create distance with the objects of pleasure. You can turn away from it. Here, these are the things like gruha, like house, like furniture, like our clothes, like many of these things which are required for our day-to-day life. So here we will talk about detachment with reference to this kind of things. It is interesting how attachment builds up towards anything. When I come home from work, I like to sit in a given chair, a rocking chair, a certain chair, a certain kind of dining chair, a certain kind of shirt, certain kind of shoes. Shoes are required, shirt is required, chair is required, but very often these things transform into a certain kind of a chair, a certain kind of shoes, certain kind of shirt, certain kind of home, etc., etc. Which is also okay, nothing wrong in it. Have them, use them. But sometimes, slowly our relationship with these things turn into the relationship of attachment, meaning that this is a chair I require, not another chair. I don't feel comfortable in another chair. And I have a special kind of a chair. When people visit my home, I show them with pride. Look at my collection of crystals. Look at my collection of the Ganeshas. So, this very often, not only do these things remain the needed things, but they become also pride of possession. So, as we use things slowly and slowly, we get attached to them, we get used to them. And sometimes we cannot do without them, only that kind of a thing is required. Don't give me other kind of pen, that kind of mechanical pencil I should have. Where is my pencil? Here's mine, not this one, where is mine? Where is my pen? I am not comfortable with another kind of pen, another kind of pencil. I am taking my experience. My book. The Swami is saying, it's the same edition. No, where is my book? This sounds familiar? Well, to me it sounds familiar. So how we get attached to these things, meaning that we derive a special kind of pleasure from those things. Over and above the usefulness is one thing, and deriving pleasure of possession, deriving a certain pleasure more than usefulness because I look upon that as a source of comfort. Slowly I become dependent upon them. When I don't find sometimes my pencil, my pen, I see. I waste quite a bit of time searching for that very thing. Where is that? Now what happens, you are a Swami, and of course people help you and so forth, and so they may arrange things in their own way sometimes, which is better than my way. I'm maybe disorganized, but they organize my thing. When they organize, in disorganization there is an organization. So I know that under this pile this thing is left, and that pile something else. No, they put it properly, but it's not there where I left it. Unless I have that thing, I just cannot be comfortable. No, this is called Asakti. This is called Sakti. What? See, these values are told to us in the context of self-knowledge, remember. What we are talking about may not be very relevant in their worldly life. So what's wrong with that, Swami? In the context of self-knowledge that we are talking about, the knowledge can happen only when my mind is focused upon the self. When there is a thought flow, even when I am listening to this scripture, Shravanam, then also Self is the subject matter of whatever it is the teacher is talking about. So there is in my mind a thought flow which is centered upon the self. And that's a means of knowledge of the self. And any distraction on that, it becomes an obstacle. So when I am sitting here and I fondly think of my specific special chair in that place in my home, where is that soap? What kind of a soap? This good soap, that soap. So thus, we become so particular, we become dependent upon those things. And we start deriving a certain amount of pleasure out of them over and above the usefulness of them. Understand, using something is one thing, and deriving pleasure out of that is a different thing. If all I need is a soap, then any soap should be alright, more or less. Anything but not a particular brand of shoes only, etc., etc. So, this is the kind of attachment that we develop with my chair, with my, table, with my pen, with my possessions. So they occupy my mind. Sometimes I find myself thinking about the wonderful chair that I have, the beautiful car that I have. I think about that. When I'm away, I think of them. When I'm concerned about them, about the car, it should be in good condition. So meaning that these things occupy my mind. It's one thing to have a car and use it for transportation, which is quite okay. Here Lord Krishna doesn't say don't have possessions, although we should understand that we should minimize the possessions, number one. More possessions we have, more we are likely to have our attachment spread out in many things. So first thing for an aspirant is to have minimum requirements, minimum possessions, life as simple as possible. And therefore, I am dependent upon as few things as possible. And secondly, that they should remain only the objects of usefulness and not objects of pleasure. Because when my mind derives pleasure from something, then mind thinks about that. Then separation from that becomes a bit difficult. So what should be my relation with these possessions of mine? Example is given, the kind of relation that we have when we are a guest. I am here in this ashram. Beautiful room, Wow, what comfort. What couch, sofa, chair, this, that. I use them, I enjoy them also. But what is my relation with? They are not mine. I don't have a sense of ownership with them. So then I leave also, I don't miss anything. When they are there, I use them. You can enjoy them also. But then, there is no ownership there, therefore there is no hesitation in leaving them also. This is a relationship that ideally we should have with so-called possessions, not sense of ownership. That mamatvam, the sense of ownership that we have, is what creates that attachment. I'm not the owner, I'm the possessor, I'm the user. The kind of relationship I have when I'm a guest, I'm using things. So that's the kind of relationship ideally I should have with what I consider as mine. In fact, this mamakara or mine also is a big notion anyway. What is mine is always a question. But Swami used to tell us a funny story. This is many, many years ago when Swami was new in Bombay. He didn't know much about Bombay, a big city, and he came from wherever, So, one day somebody invited for lunch, Bhiksha. and was transported to a huge house. Oh wow! You stay here, I stay here. Oh, this is your house? No, Swami, not my house, not whole of it. I am on this 12th floor. Oh, okay. Then we went to flat. The whole floor belongs to you? No, sir, not whole floor. This particular flat or apartment. Swami is thinking, always thinking. So that host goes inside, sitting out there and thinking, and when he comes again from his room outside here, Swami says, this right side wall, is it yours? Well, Swamiji, but there is also left side wall of the other fellow. This left side wall is yours? That's the right side wall of the next one. The ceiling is yours? That's the floor of the other fellow. The floor is yours? That's the ceiling of the other fellow. So what is yours? It's mine. What is mine? The space you can say is mine. Is mine is a notion like that. There is no such thing as mine really. We derive a comfort by calling something as mine. The shoes are mine. It's a one-way relationship. I only declare the ownership of the shoe, I call them mine. Shoes do not call me as theirs. Therefore, if somebody simply wears those shoes and walks away, they go away, stupid fella. They don't say, I don't belong to you. So this mamatva is what is meant here, asakti. That slowly the relation of mindness gets established. This is that's the attachment that is talked about here. But there is no mindness, no ownership, as I say when I am a guest. And one should always be alert as far as comfort is concerned. You must have heard this statement. Comfort comes as guest. Lingers on to become host. Stays on to enslave you. Comfort comes as a guest, lingers on to become host, and stays on to enslave you. Soon before we realize what is luxury becomes a necessity. So at one point in time, air conditioner was a luxury. Today I cannot do without it. Hot water was a luxury. I cannot do without it. And now, how many things have become necessities? When we were small, you went to the school and then a scooter came. Now I can't walk. I used to walk, I used to take buses and stuff like that. When scooter came, when bicycle came, then I would only travel in bicycle from one place to I can't walk. And when scooter came, I can't do without it. You know what is scooter? Some people may not know scooter. Then came car. So how I become more dependent and dependent and dependent? Nothing wrong in using things, understand? Vedanta does not say that we should not use the modern facilities, etc. Sometimes people say that Swamiji, technology has created all the problems. Technology empowers, it doesn't create problems. It is the attachment or dependence upon something that creates problem. We cannot blame your cell phone. You can't blame your WhatsApp. You cannot blame Facebook. We cannot blame any gadget. They are meant to empower you. You can now message and communicate and do a lot of things in such short time. So it is very convenient. They make you more efficient, more empowered. In that sense, they are all right. But soon before I realized, now I cannot do without that thing. Now you see everybody just like this all the time. From village and on, to anybody, everybody is just watching video and laughing and looking at it. What is it, And people all kinds of things in there, So he's walking and talking. I said, where is he talking? First I could not. Several years ago when this thing was new, and the airport in New York, this one is walking like this. I said, he's talking in air or something? It's alright, technology is okay. But once you can talk, now you see, you cannot do without cell phone. Now, when husband leaves home, wife says, he calls her. He says, I left. Okay. Now, or I'm coming from home. I've taken this exit. I'm at this corner. I'm now at the door. 4 phone calls are made. When there was no cell phone, nobody, saw the need of that. But now everybody expects that I should be kept informed. So this is how things come as guest, becomes host and become master. So this is called Asakti. How it is a slippery path. And how, if you are not alert, how we slowly slide into dependence, meaning that I cannot do without that. That means that it is going to occupy a corner of my mind. And that is an obstacle to the corner that Atma needs. Or study needs. Your prayers need. Your meditation may need. That corner is occupied by. So as soon as my prayer is over, next thing is, what's the next message? Which means that even when I was praying, when part of thing was thinking about that thing, as soon as prayer is over, I look at this. Anyway, Sakti. So just to give an idea of what does Lord Krishna mean by Asakti, detachment, with reference to these things that are around us, whichever they are the items of day-to-day use, and how from simply items of usefulness, how they become the items of comfort and pleasure and make me a slave, how they become my master. We just to watch this process and be alert, use everything if needed. Meaning that, of course, the first rule is to minimize the need and minimize the possessions. That's a rule. Because more we have, more likely it is that our attachment will spread. And even in those things that we need or we are using, the relationship is that I use them. You can even enjoy them. Meaning that you can sit in your chair and enjoy the comfort. As I can sit in this chair here and enjoy that comfort without having to call it mine. It's not that I cannot enjoy something which is not mine, but today I can enjoy only if it is mine. Somebody bring this flower. Beautiful. My next one, where did it come from? Somebody from our garden. Our garden, this special flower. Come from a flower shop. Okay. So, do I enjoy a flower or do I enjoy my flower? So, if you observe in a subtle way how our mind works, and am I enjoying this ownership or am I enjoying something? Am I enjoying that thing or the ownership? If you are not watchful, it is the nature of mind, it's a slippery thing. It slips into ownership, attachment, dependence. And so Lord Krishna prescribed here, Asakti. Anasakti is the same Asakti. Either the particle is an or Asakti or Sakti. Asamanta Sakti, Asakti. So, then we are more familiar with Asakti and Anasakti. We are more familiar with those terms. Asakti means the same as Anasakti. Asakti. Then there are yet other set of entities with which I cannot relate as I relate with furniture. What are they? Putradara, Grahaputradara. The Gruha is Anavishwanga. Lord Krishna says Anavishwanga. Anavishwanga. Abhishvanga means atisanga. Sanga, attachment, atisanga or abhishvanga, excessive attachment. Anabhishvanga, freedom from or lack of excessive attachment. Meaning some attachment is alright, There are some things where attachment is alright. But excessive attachment should not be there. There are things where attachment should not be. That's a piece of furniture and home, etc. But when it comes to your spouse, your children, your friends, your relatives, you cannot treat them like furniture. Meaning that you cannot be indifferent with them. With furniture I can be indifferent. With these I cannot be and should not be. There must be a relationship of affection with these people. Even a certain amount of attachment also is alright as far as the relatives are concerned. Because then only I can take care of them. My son is different from neighbor's son, is it not so? For their children, my son is special. Because there is a certain attachment there. And then I take care of my son. I give him affection, love, care. I may love neighbor's child also, but still my son is different. My brother is different. My friend is different. Because they are the object of my affection, care, concern. Meaning that as far as the people related to us are concerned, there should be care. There should be concern. It must be a nourishing relationship. The relationship is meant for mutual nourishment. Between even an infant, so newly born baby and mother. So mother who takes care of the baby and nurtures and nourishes the baby, isn't it? Is it not? But then the mother also in turn gets nourished, understand? The baby by just being there, just looking at the mother, or maybe smiling, the mother also gets nourished. So that is called relationship where there is mutual nourishment. That's how it should be. That's life for human beings in particular. That is why we have family, we have friends, we have relatives, the guru, disciples, or sahadhyayis, sahabrahmacharina, co-disciples, co-students, colleagues. So here you have some relationship where there is a mutual, because you care for them and they care for you. It is called sangaha. So that is accepted. This kind of attachment which enables me to take care, enables me to nurture and nourish, that is a requirement and relationship. You can't, my son, like any other son, no, that is for a big person, not for us. Maybe the wise man, everything is the same. My son, your son, what are you talking about? You know for what? For that person, everything is son. That is why. The reason why for a wise person, everything is equal, because everything is everybody is equally the object of love. So that one does not need to distinguish between my son and somebody's son. But we are not yet there. So this is told for, regular people, that in our life there are going to remain some people who are important to us, from whom we receive the care and concern and love and affection, and who in turn are also object of our love and affection and care, which is fine. Anabhishvanga, excessive attachment. Now then what happens? There also is a slippery path. That soon before I realize, my attachment becomes over-attachment and my concern becomes over-concern. I start now being worried about them. So when the child goes to school, the mother keeps thinking all the time. So when they reach, nowadays of course they give them cell phones, so they track everything. Where is he reached? When he reaches school also they track. When he grew up there was nothing tracking, And for many people still that may not be. But the mother gets worried. Has he reached school? Is he alright? Oh, he should have left at 5 o'clock, he should be here at 5:16. It's already 5:20. What happened? So then when somebody becomes a matter of over-concern, over-anxiety, that becomes excessive attachment. Then what happens? Then we start controlling. In relationship of healthy attachment, we nurture them, nourish them, and take care of them, but don't control them. Meaning that in that we give freedom to the one that we are related to. Myself is the freedom. I do as parent whatever it is that I want to do, need to do, without demanding a reciprocal affection, reciprocal help, as best as possible, a non-demanding relationship. A relationship in which I exhibit affection, care, concern. At the same time, I do not demand that just because I do something, that they also should do that. Otherwise, a very usual conversation, this is what I did for, what did you do for me? I did this is for you. What have you done for me? Not unusual. When the parents get disappointed on children because children don't care for them, disappointed. That means that when they were caring for them, there was an expectation that when we become old, when they grow up, then they should take care of us. I mean, that's not a big deal. I'm just giving an example. How, in whatever we do, there is a hidden agenda of a reciprocal relationship, a reciprocal care, reciprocal benefit. Meaning that we do not do simply selflessly, some kind of agenda or expectation is involved. Expectation is a binding thing in any relationship. Because then I start thinking about it, there is an expectation, there is always a possibility, expectation may not be fulfilled, then there is a hurt. So we said yesterday, who hurts me the most? Those who are most closely related. Because more closely a person is related, more the expectations are likely to be. And therefore, more the scope of disappointment. So a relationship which is meant to give me happiness and comfort and nourishment becomes now a source of anxiety, conflict, hurt. When this happens, we should know that there is excessive attachment. Then we start controlling them. You can't go to that school, you must go to this school. You can't go to engineering, you must go to medicine. Why? Because my son should be a doctor. Then they will say, my son is a doctor, he is a surgeon. So the father derives some pride from what his son does. And so he wants his son to be like that. Son says, I want to be a teacher. No, you cannot be. So this is how we start controlling them. And if they do not obey, submit to us, then you bring what they call emotional blackmail. You throw a tantrum, start crying, and make that fellow feel hopeless. And and thus control is emotional blackmail. You know that expression? See, all these things slowly creep into relationships if you are not careful. And so, they say the child is through you, it's not yours. You don't own that. You are an instrument in bringing the child to this world, and it is your privilege to take care of them. Not responsibility, it's privilege. To have a relation is a privilege. That you are a father, you are a mother, you are a friend. It's a privilege. And enjoy that relationship, enjoy that affection and care. So the enjoyment should come from your care and affection, not from what that one does to you. You follow? The happiness should come from what you do for them and not what they should do for you. What I'm saying is all tall order. Swami is all right for you. You are a Swami. You don't. I would accept it. Meaning that if I had to follow this value, I would have the same difficulty. But I have to tell you anyway. This is what it is. All of these obstacles to our progress, all of these things drag my mind away, pull my mind away. Is it not so? Well, I'm having a sense of hurt because my son said this, did not do that. My friend, my relative, spouse, father, mother is that. All of these in course of time, instead of becoming a source of nourishment and joy, they easily become the source of anxieties and hurt. Then you know that it is avishvanga, excessive attachment. Lord Krishna should know everything properly, you know. So when he prescribes this, he knows, I guess. Attachment is in order. Where, when we are related to human beings or living beings, attachment is in order. What is that attachment? That attachment enables me to give them, provide them what is necessary. Give them what I should give them in terms of my affection, my care, my concern. To raise them and enjoy that process. Without attachment, you can't do that really. Attachment, give up attachment, this doesn't apply equally everywhere. You can't say to your husband, give attachment to your wife. No, that's not right. By attachment, you don't care for her, that is not right. That doesn't mean also there is an excessive attachment, that also is not right. So there are boundaries. And so, putra dara gruhadishu, putra means son, dara means wife, etc. Although Lord Krishna includes gruha, but I shifted the gruha in the previous one. With those inner things with which we have the relationship useful, but not attachment. I take care of my house. If there is a leaking roof, I take care of it. If there is a problem with my, the oil level in my car, I take care of it. So that is all right. But I cannot do without this car, I cannot do without this, etc. That kind of, that is called attachment. That should not be there with possession. But as far as those who I'm related to, for that, certain attachment is in order, but not excessive attachment. And so forth. So, everybody knows this. This applies mainly to householders, it applies to everybody because you have relationships with your friends, with your disciples, with your Guru Bhais, with your Guru. Everybody has a relationship. A time will come when you will grow to such a point that without relationship you are related to the whole world. Then it's a different thing. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole Vasudha becomes your Vasudha, means that the earth becomes a family, the whole world. But before that, we have this family. So, Anavishvanga, Putradara Gruhadishu. Nityancha Samachittattvam Ishta Nishto Apattishu. Samachittattvam. Nityam cha Samachittattvam. Samachittattvam, in the words of Puja Swami, sameness of the mind. Chitta means mind. Savachittatam, sameness of the mind. That's how Swami used to like to explain. Towards what? Ishta, anishta, upapattishu. Ishta, desirable. Anishta, undesirable. Upapattishu, when they present themselves before you. So things present themselves before us, isn't it? Every moment we are confronted with the world. So the world presents itself before us every moment. But every moment the world's face is different. Sometimes smiles at us, sometimes indifferent to us, sometimes angry at us. Meaning that we constantly face or come across the situations, people, entities, the world, which we classify as Ishta, desirable, Anishta, undesirable, Ishta, Anishta, upattishu. Ishta, desirable, Anishta, undesirable. When desirable and undesirable things present themselves before me, then what should be my attitude here? Nityancha, this is attitude more than a value. Samachittatam, sameness of the mind is more than attitude. Now see the word Ishta, Anishta, desirable, undesirable. Is it possible to have the same attitude towards what is desirable or undesirable? Understand? Moment I look upon something as desirable, it will create in me a reaction of joy or harsha, elation. Moment I brand something undesirable, it will cause in me a reaction of dislike. So how can you be same-mindedness when things are desirable and undesirable? It's not possible. So Samachittatvam, the first step is that something is desirable or something undesirable. Can you tell me a thing that is desirable? Can you tell me, name something that is called desirable? Swami, dosa is desirable. Ice cream is desirable. BMW is desirable. Would you say that? Or a snake is undesirable. A scorpion is undesirable. Can there be a universal brand of something called desirable? Because what I desire, what I like, that ice cream somebody doesn't care for. So, no ice cream, I don't know. Dosa not for me. Somebody can say that. So understand that desirable and undesirable are my subjective viewpoints of perception. It is not the nature of an object. If there was something called desirable, then it would be desirable to everybody. For example, here is a candy which is sweet in taste. So sweetness is the nature of this candy. Therefore, whoever tastes the candy will experience sweetness without exception. So that is called the nature of something which everybody equally experiences. But desirability or undesirability, can it be said to be the nature of something? If something was desirable, then it would be desirable for everybody. Is it not so? And similarly, if something was undesirable, it would be undesirable for everybody. What is desirable for one, right away is undesirable for another one. Or what is desirable for me right now may be undesirable a little later. Is it not so? Ishta and Anishta, desirable, there is no entity as Ishta and Anishta. there is no such thing as desirable, undesirable. So ideally, so recognize that it is we who superimpose desirable upon something and undesirable upon something else. Is it not so? It's a subjective viewpoint. And therefore, to be even-minded, what should we do? Don't superimpose. We first call it desirable and then we are joyous, overjoyed. We brand undesirable and then we feel bad, we feel sad. Is that thing that has made me happy or unhappy? Or my perception has made me happy or unhappy? This thing made me happy or desirable? My perception of this thing as desirable has made me happy, or my perception of something undesirable makes me unhappy. It is my perception that makes me happy, my perception makes me unhappy. Is it not so? Because a given thing can become undesirable in a different situation. I am so desirable. But suppose I have diarrhea and stuff like that, I can't tolerate milk, then that thing becomes undesirable. I don't want to touch it. It doesn't attract me at all. There was samachittattvam, having even-mindedness, sameness of the mind, requires ideally that I do not superimpose. I see things for what they are and do not superimpose the idea of desirability or undesirability, or anukulam, pratikulam, anukulam, favorable, pratikulam, unfavorable, favorable, unfavorable, desirable, undesirable. Unfortunately, that's the first thing that my mind does before I relate to anything. First thing that my mind does is just desirable. And then my response is one kind, undesirable. So I look at here and I am smiling. Because what do I superimpose? Desirable. Other way. And my undesirable, automatically my response changes. Or, right now something is desirable. Our Swami would say, it's two persons. They got married. I love you, I love you, I love you. A few years, I love you, I love you, I love you. So what is desirable in a given situation becomes undesirable, isn't it so? It is a fancy of my mind, understand? But we relate to the world in this way only. First we superimpose and then we respond. In that case, what happens? Our mind is controlled by that thing. It is not in my control. What happens to my mind is controlled by that thing, which I call desirable. It creates in my mind the response of happiness. Something is undesirable, creates in me the response of unhappiness. Meaning that what happens to my mind is not determined by me, it is determined by what? The world. I am right now dancing to the tune of the world. There is remote control there. And how my mind feels is determined not by me, by remote control. So, therefore, we have to look at this habit of the mind, of branding things. Branding is, everything else is rooted in ignorance anyway. Not knowing the true nature of the thing, I call it desirable and undesirable. Not knowing the true nature of myself also, I call something desirable, undesirable. If I knew that Purnatvam, completeness, Ananda, happiness, limitlessness is my nature, then nothing desirable. What is desirable, Desirable is something that adds some value to me. That's what I call desirable. What is undesirable? that which takes away something from me, isn't it? That it can give me joy, add to my joy is called desirable, take away from me is undesirable. When that can happen? When I am subject to growth and decay. But if you look at, look at the ocean. Apurimanam, achala pratishtham, like an ocean. Lord Krishna describes, even if the rivers bring the water to the ocean, it does not increase its fullness. And if the rivers don't do that, the ocean doesn't increase in fullness, because fullness is its nature. What is fullness? That which is not subject to increase or decrease, growth or decay. Is it not so? Infinity. Infinity plus something is what? Infinity minus something? That's called infinity. That's ananta. We call it purna. What's the nature of Atma, Purna madaha. Our true nature is what? Infinite. Limitless. Meaning that in reality, what is my nature? Na karmana vardate no kaniyan ish nityo mahima brahmanasya. Upanishad says, this is the mahima, this is the glory of this wise person. No vardate karmana, no, but that a karma or something cannot bring about a vriddhi, meaning growth, or decay. That's called fullness. That's my nature. If I knew that, then would it happen that something now can raise my value, or value addition, is it possible in fullness? Or value subtraction, is it possible in fullness? So what is desirable? That which adds value to me. When can something add value to me? When I am limited. When can something decrease my value? Again when I am limited. So basic problem is that I look upon myself as a limited being, and therefore constantly in need of becoming free from the sense of limitedness. And then when I project upon something as a means of removing my limitedness, that becomes desirable, means of happiness. Something else I look upon as taking away from my happiness becomes anishta, undesirable. So first projection upon myself, that brings about the projection upon things. First is projection of my, what's projection? I am a limited being. Why do I feel limited? Why do I feel limited? The limitless feels limited. Why? Because of ignorance. And then what? What does ignorance do? Identification. So ignorance causes identification. Anatma is taken to be Atma. And the limitation of Anatma are superimposed upon Atma. Meaning that my feeling that I am a limited being is not the right feeling. But my life goes only on this feeling that I am limited. And from that I judge that this is helpful, this is hurtful. Well, limited entity can be helped or hurt. Limitless cannot be helped, nor it can be hurt. So if I had the knowledge of the true nature of myself, this would not be there. Or, suppose I am limited. If I had the true knowledge of true nature of that thing, what is that? That it is just name and form. It doesn't have any content of happiness or unhappiness. Is it not so? So I superimpose limitedness upon myself and superimpose happiness upon that. That's how things become ishta or desirable. That's how I respond with joy, happiness. Again, I superimpose limited upon myself, superimpose dukkha or unhappiness upon that. That's how that becomes undesirable. this is based on ignorance, alright, but ignorance brings about this kind of superimposition. Therefore, when we look at the basic realities of life, reality of myself, as well as reality of the objects of the world, there is no question of any elation or depression, harsha or shoka. Mind means what? Even-minded, free from reactions. So, nityancha samachittatvam is a fundamental way of approaching. Vedantic way of approaching. We will tell you other way of approach also. More practical. Some this is alright, but it's a little tall order. So little shorter order also they can say. What is shorter order? What comes before me is coming from where? It's coming from Ishvara. Creation of Ishvara. Whatever comes from Ishvara is called, we will have in the temple. That chana, the ground that they make and all kinds of Swami Prasad, what is this? This is only ground, chana, this is Prasad. Special value. So what comes from Ishvara is called Prasad. And therefore, Prasada Buddhi. This expression comes from Swamiji Maharaj. This Prasad Buddhi. So some of the unique contributions that Swamiji had, one of them is this, and a very important one. Nowhere else you will find this expression Prasada Buddhi. You will all talk about equanimity of mind, etc., etc. But how do you get equanimity? What is equal? Because everything is different from each other. Everything is dissimilar. Asamanata, dissimilarity is what is creation. So how do you use similarity? One way of saying similarity is asti bhadi priyam. That's a tall order. The second way of similarity is that it all comes from Ishvara. It is prasada. So that there is sameness in all of them by virtue of their being prasada. That's what makes them same. But otherwise, how can you look upon them as same? How can success and failure be looked upon as same? How can it be? Ishta, anishta. Success, desirable. Failure, undesirable. How can you look success and failure as same? Unless you are insensitive, feelingless. That Lord Krishna doesn't want to make us insensitive people. The only way that this can be looked upon as equal is success also is prasada, failure also is prasada. Which it is. Those are karma phala. Whatever presents itself before me is the result of my own action. It's karma phala. And given by karma phala data, the one who dispenses on the results of the action. That is Ishvara. And what comes from Ishvara? Now, this is Swami's contribution. What comes from Ishvara is prasada. When you use the word prasada, the whole attitude changes. Somebody is giving a big laddu. Comes from what? A sweet shop. No, I am diabetic, I can't take it. Tirupati, then I can take it. So people, there's a prasad on Tirupati. Alright, then it's okay. So prasada automatically changes my response. If I have those kind of samskaras. Because prasadastu prasannata. We become prasanna, we become happy, cheerful when prasada comes to us. It doesn't matter what the prasada is then. Although best children is not that prasada gives. So when Swamiji gives fruit, not this fruit. I don't like orange, Swamiji gives that. Then we may also distinguish among prasada. But otherwise prasada is prasada. So prasada can be bitter also, can be sweet also, and sour also. Every morning, someday only prasada is well. Yes, prasada means what? Is some salty thing. It's not always sweet. Sometimes salty, Sometimes sour, sometimes sweet, sometimes bitter also. Prasada is prasada. And so sweet situations may come, salty situations may come, bitter situations may come. They are normally branded as desirable and desirable. But the moment they are converted to prasada, then they all become equal. As far as the situations are not equal. But my perception has changed as prasada, therefore my response is equal. The response that determines the disposition of my mind. Samachittatvam, sameness of the mind. Some equanimity of the mind or sameness of the mind. By prasada. So, one is by recognizing the fundamental oneness that is there. Or second thing is, the practical level, looking upon the sameness they have by our being prasada. Nityam cha samachit, very important attitude by which we can maintain the sameness or equanimity or tranquility of the mind. Otherwise we are constantly disturbed. Every time we constantly get confronted with things, and right away we brand them. And as we brand, so we respond. Respond is nothing but a disturbance in the mind. If I am happy, that also is disturbance. Unhappy also is happy. Why should it be disturbance? Because happiness is created by something else. If happiness emerges from me, is not disturbance. Happiness that comes from there is the disturbance. Because there is a dependence, uncertainty. Really, certainty is what? It is prasada. That's a certainty. And if that is my attitude, then certainty also in my mind. That my mind will enjoy the sameness, the equanimity. Which is the mind that is required for pursuit of knowledge. All these are meaningful only for shravanam, mananam, vichara, contemplation, study. We require the kind of mind, and that kind of mind is created. For that, these values are given here. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutravasya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So we still have 2 more classes, right? Tomorrow. One at 10 o'clock, other at 5 o'clock. So that is my plan. That is how we are going, by the way.
9 o'clock.
What is 9 o'clock?
Morning.
Oh, 9 o'clock.